Hello there. Welcome to DeanBodi podcast. Hope everybody's having a good day out there. And man, we had a good time doing a video earlier today. Don't forget DeanBodi Show YouTube channel. And we like to connect these together. It makes it a little more fun, and we kind of go back and forth. And this is the kind of rhythm we're going to have for now on this season 1 journey of DeanBodi podcast and DeanBodi Show. And we had to do a little bit of a rewind. But first, before we get into that, let's not forget, it's Dean and Bodie Show. We had to do a little rewind on the kite flying journey on the last episode because I forgot to mention the technique that we used to use when it came into reeling in your kite. Now, those of you that have flown kites before, and you get them way out there, we're going out there, 1,000 feet and beyond. And reeling them in by hand is not the easiest thing to do when you want to go way out there. Now, you're doing the 200-yarder, the smaller spool of string, not too bad. But if it is a windy day and that kite is pulling, not so easy on the fingers, okay? So we would take a fishing rod, and you cut off basically almost all the pole and make like a little fishing pole, almost like Popeil's Pocket Fisherman, almost. If you remember those days, back in the day, that crazy invention. But you would cut them down, and this way you could not only get it way out there even further because the fishing line spools. Not only was it a stronger test, right, and a stronger string, but it was way more feet. They had a lot more feet on there, 1,000 and beyond, and you can let that thing just cruise out there. You know, like if you were letting a fish just run out, same with the kite. And, you know, you could reel it in a lot easier because the reel had that handle, and you can just crank that puppy right in. So we were talking about how a friend of mine from the neighborhood invented that automatic rewind to bring the kite in, and he can go about and do something else while the kite was getting wound in. And, you know, look, if you had dinner time and you had to get back there as a kid, dinner time was no joke. You had to be there on time. Otherwise, it's big trouble. You know, and so getting the thing in, you'd have to time it. Like, wow, if I get the thing out 1,000 feet and beyond, it's going to take me an hour to bring this thing in. So you better time it right. And that's kind of what brought it together. And we mentioned on the show, the YouTube channel, that, you know, this pandemic and this coronavirus and this COVID-19, and now they have this nickname for it, the Rona, all of this stuff going around. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. What I'm trying to get at is about the dinner time. A lot of families are hunkering down together, you know, and they've never done that before. Mom or dad is out working all the time, traveling all over the place, not having that quality family time, and starting to do that dinner time thing again, which makes it kind of special. You know, look, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, everything happens for a reason, and trying to put a little bit of a silver lining on this kind of nightmare that the planet is going through together. That kind of togetherness is probably happening more now, you know, the family and all of that. So that's on that side of the fence is a good thing in most cases. But dinner time was a big thing. You had to get there on time. Winding it in with that fishing rod thing made it faster and easier, and you can get it out farther. The string was a lot stronger. And that great invention that one of my friend's brothers put together with that automatic rewind is gold. I don't know if he went anywhere with it or sold any of that thing, but I'm sure he invented something. This is going way, way back into the 70s. So, you know, that being said, today, man, we're going to be talking about roller skating and the time I went to a drive-in movie in an ambulance. So this roller skating thing back in the day was a blast. so was skateboarding and stuff like that. But this is kind of, we're talking about going to the roller skating rink, I had to get the rental skates. All right. I wasn't Mr. Speed skating guy, even though I had a couple of those kids in my neighborhood that would actually go in competition and race speed skating. These guys were no joke. They got the little mag wheels on them and that urethane special wheels with the special stopper in the front, special brake, special boot. These guys would fly. And we'd go see them race at the rink, and they would do like sprint. If you've ever seen that before, and you sprint just in that circular rink, and they've got their hands down when they're turning the corners, kind of touching the floor and getting really low and banking around these corners, and they're flying, man. And it was like pretty impressive. Not to mention they could stop really short, swing to the side, and just stop like a pro, like they do in ice skating too. But the roller skating was something, man. Some of these people were awesome. Front skate, back skate, tricks. But the speed skating kids, we had a couple of living close by, and I remember that. But I had to do the rental skates, which worked. You're not quite as much of a show off or have that kind of vibe about you with the rental skates. Let's get real. Especially when the slow dancing song comes on and you want to go ask a girl, you want to go on a skate and do a slow skate with me. And it's so funny. Every time they would look down and see what kind of skates you had on, and you had these brown rental suede skates, and here comes Johnny flying around the track, sliding on the side with the brake, fancy schmancy, and he got most of the girls, let's just put it that way, with the custom skates and his style. But every now and then, you'd pull it off and find somebody that had the rental skates also, so you're kind of on the same page, because I was not flying around the rink. Not bad. Let me admit it, not bad. I could never really skate backwards, but forwards, and I can do the leg crossover when you turn the corner. One leg steps over the other as you go around the corner. I'm not just kind of pushing like the real beginner. I got past that phase, and then we got into, at least you could have a little bit of a rhythm and do a little bit of a shuffle as you're coming around the corner. But when you're sitting down at the skating rink and you're eating your French fries and you got your soda pop and you're hanging out with your friends, certain songs used to make you fly out of your seat. You could not help it, even if you didn't want to skate anymore. And the one that comes to mind, the Steve Miller Band, Jungle Love. And when you heard, you would be sitting down chilling. All of a sudden that DJ would put on that one song, and it would start off with that whistle. It would start off with that, and you would jump up. You didn't care if you had a girl. You just wanted to go. It did something to you. It flipped the switch on you. Jungle love. It's driving you mad. It's making you crazy, crazy. That song sticks out of my head big time. And you try to act like you were cool. You didn't even care about the rental skates because the music made you feel like you were the man. And that kind of stuff is just was way too much fun. These are some fond memories of the roller skating. But that's about as far as we took my roller skating career. Never got into the rollerblades. And ice skating was not happening. I think I tried that one time, slammed my knee on the ice, which is like harder than cement, went limping off, and I'm like, okay, all done. Done with the ice skating. Anything that has the skating except for skateboarding, I was really good at. Skateboarding, look, 4 wheels, both feet on one plank, and we're good. Man, I got into skateboarding, and we're going to get into that in another episode because that's a whole nother skateboard park. Man, we used to go to the parks and rip it up. I'm going to save that one because I got to get into this. Went to drive-in movie in an ambulance. So here we go. We're in these apartments, living in these apartments in Miami, Florida. So many kids, what a cast of characters we had there. And I mentioned this before, where we would make the skip boards, or you call them WAP boards back in the day, and we would skip across the kiddie pool and the big pool in these boards. One of the earlier episodes, so check that out. But we had someone that lived in the apartments who actually owned a used ambulance as his everyday vehicle. Not a real one, but it had the whole look to it. It had some, some of the lettering peeled off, and, the siren obviously was disconnected and things like that. But he bought this as his regular vehicle, man. And this guy, we used to play some catch football in the street, play little scrimmage games of football in basically the parking lot. And he'd call me Skeeter. And I remember, and because Skeeter could always get open, Skeeter would always catch the ball. I mean, because I had some speed, I had good hands, and I remember him calling me that. But a group of us went to The Exorcist, the movie, the original Exorcist, in the ambulance. Now, picture this, all right? A bunch of us are piling in the back of this ambulance. Okay, this dude, he was like a real kind of real overweight guy, but what a great personality. And I just remember the way he looked, and he drove us there. And in the back, we had a couple beanbag chairs, and there must have been, let me see, about 8 of us piled in the back, right? His passenger was up at the front, and he was driving. And the beanbag served a purpose because a couple of us got underneath the beanbag chairs, and the other would sit on top of them as we were going in to pay to get into the drive-in movie. So a couple people got in for free. Nice move, right? Because you couldn't see him under the beanbag chairs. So we pulled that off, no problem. And we get in there, and he backed the ambulance into where you got to get those. Back in the day, you had to get those speakers that were for the drive-in movie and put them on the door so you could hear the movie, right? Drive-in movies were really a lot of fun, though. And, you can go, and they go to the snack area, and you go get all your stuff, and you get ready for this thing. And The Exorcist in an ambulance, I mean, talk about the perfect fit and the perfect vehicle to go see that scary movie that still haunts me to this day, okay? So, listen, we get to the scene in the movie. Those of you, little spoiler alert here, but if you haven't seen it by now, you got to check it out. And I promise you, you're going to be scared. Okay? It still scares me to this day. And it gets to the part where Linda Blair, who's possessed by the devil, is going through her thing, man. And this is the scene where her head actually spins all the way around and does all this and says some things that I'm not going to say, but she was out of control, man. It was crazy scary. And so the scene where this was going to happen, I remember I had my head down. I don't know. I was going for some popcorn. All of a sudden, everybody in the ambulance started screaming because it was at that scene where her head spun around. So my head was down. I heard all this screaming, right? And I just hunkered down and closed my eyes because I couldn't look up until everybody stopped. And then I looked up and I missed the scene where her head spun around because I freaked out. Everybody screamed so loud, I just freaked out. I didn't even want to look up. And I asked them what happened. Oh, you didn't see your head spun around? Oh, my God. So I had to wait for a long time after that, actually, to see the movie again to watch her head spin around. Like I really needed to see it twice. Or see it once, really. But true story, man. True story. So we watched that whole movie. What a great time in the ambulance. And we come back. He drops everybody off at the apartments, okay? And these apartments were pretty long. You had the west side, the east side. And I'm walking down the long, because our apartment was way on the end, right? I'm walking down this long, dark hallway after this movie. And every time I got to a place where there was an opening, like where the elevator was, or between two apartments, I would have to stop, slowly peek around the corner because I was terrified from this movie, all the way like this, all the way home. I had to walk up the stairs, get into the apartment. Nobody is there because my mom was out to dinner on a dinner date, and so as I'm in there, I start screaming her name, Ma, Ma. There's nobody answering me. And I close the door, I lock it, and I go and I went into the living room, put the TV on, and I put on something funny because I needed to get my mind in a different place. I mean, this movie rocked me big time. Anyway, Mom came back home. Now, that was my stepfather at the time. And what a night that was. And I didn't know she wasn't going to be there when I got back. So it added to the fear like crazy. That long walk to the apartment was like, it felt like hours. Minutes felt like hours. And that's the story of going to The Exorcist in a drive-in movie in an ambulance, sneaking people in underneath the beanbag chairs, missing the part where her head spun around because everybody screamed as if the devil was in our vehicle. That's how loud it was, how terrified everybody was. So, well, everyone, that's the roller skating story. And what a great time that was back in the day. And the time I went to the drive-in movie in an ambulance. What a great podcast. I had fun telling you these stories. And, this is how we're going to do it here in DeanBodi Show. All right, we're going to go wherever we go. We're going to tell real-life stories. We want to be authentic. Even the DeanBodi Show, the YouTube channel, DeanBodi Show, you'll see the channel. And you're going to have outside noises and maybe some planes flying over because we're close to the airport. Car alarm might go off. There's some wind noises. Hey, those are all special effects. That's where we want them. You might see my finger at the end going to push the off button. Yeah, special effect. That's how we want it over here at the DeanBodi Show. You're maybe listening to it. You're like, oh, wow. Listen to the background. Why doesn't he just do it in a real special studio? Well, listen, that's not how we do it here. We're keeping it raw, keeping it real, keeping it authentic, doing our thing. And that's the way I like it. I like that raw feeling, not all this polished everything. So whatever, and we'll have some of those too, probably down the line. But right now we're doing it. And these are real stories, I want you relate to them in your own way, and that's how we're all going to make connections on this whole thing in the journey. It doesn't matter from the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. Everybody had their outings. Everybody did some stuff with their friends. Everybody's got their crazy story. Just, kind of link it up to your own thing there. And, once we get that phone number attached to the podcast, people can call in with their stories and questions. And we're going to, we'll choose a couple of them and share them on the episode. And you'll watch how Dean and Bodie bounce off of their story and go, oh, wow, yeah, you did that. Oh, this is how we used to do this. You'll see this circular motion. It's going to bring together the things we have in common. That's the goal of the show. That's the goal of the podcast. So DeanBodi Podcast, wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google. Don't forget DeanBodi Show, YouTube channel. And, have a great day, everyone. Enjoy your Sunday. It is Sunday, May 17th, 2020. Take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else, right? And get out into the sunshine. Don't forget that vitamin D. Need the vitamin D. Get it from the sun. And take care of yourself with the diet, some decent supplements, and try to pay attention to that. As we used to call it, as we do call it over here, when Dr. Dean's going to drop some knowledge once in a while. Remember, the most important is the food. Most powerful drug in the world starts with an F, ends with a D. Food. Supplements are there to supplement the diet. Not to take the place of the food, but to supplement the diet. 90-10 rule. 90%, Eat good, healthy, clean foods. 10% treat, so you don't lose your mind and go nutty. Okay, that's the good balance. Most people do it the opposite way through their life. They do 90% cheat, 10% little salad and fruit and healthy stuff. And that's why diabetes is number one in the country. And that's actually pandemic. And they're very susceptible to what's going on now because their immune systems, and all the other things that go along with it. So keep your immune system strong. And, do something that you normally haven't had time for or whatever. I don't know. Start writing in the journal. Think of 5 things positive that happened to you today and write it down. Make yourself write down 5 things positive today as a homework assignment, okay? And just do it. You can find 5. Hey, you woke up today. That's 1. You took a deep breath and exhaled. That's 2. Or maybe inhale, exhale. That would be 3. But think of that. It's good. It's healthy to do that. And, something you can read first thing when you get up, right? And before you put your head on the pillow. Keep yourself tuned up. Don't forget the positive stuff. And when you force yourself to write it down and you read it, it's a reminder that we're going to get through this and come out the other side bigger, better, and stronger. Have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Dean and Bodi Show. DeanBodi Podcast. Have a great day. Bye-bye.